So that, but the domain mail IDs are mandatory, and you have to log in into your Zoom accounts through your domain mail IDs only. It is mandatory. No other mails are entertained. So compulsory you have to create your domain mail IDs. This is mandatory. Now, so as per our friends request yesterday, I got 2 to 3 calls from your friends, and they are asking about can we highlight, sir, the major parameters in the economic distribution, like that they are asking. So only one thing here. This is the power plant here. This is the, just I am recollecting the things. Then after that we will go to the next unit. This is a power plant. Now power plant is nothing but it will generate the voltage now at some X level. Then again this voltage is to be step up to the by using the some step up transformer. What is the major parameter? Why that voltage to be stepped up means, generally now from here onwards, from generating to transmission. So immediately after the ending of this generation, the total power has to be transmitted to the customer. So from here to here means from this particular point to this particular point, the total power what you have generated in the generating power plant is to be transmitted to the doorsteps of that particular consumer. So this distance is nothing but, let us say, that is in the multiples of 100 meters or 100 kilometers of, not meters, 100k. So or 10k, 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers or 100, 1500 kilometers, whatever it may be. So what I want to say is the distance is nothing but it is a considerable long. So generally, if you are transmitting the power, electrical power at lower voltages, the losses will be more. So that's why better always transmit your electrical power over thousands of kilometers or hundreds of kilometers by maintaining higher voltage profile. That is a major parameter. So that's why now whatever the voltage you people are generating here, immediately you have to step up the voltage, then you have to transmit the voltage to the consumer. That is a major thing we have to do here. So how can you step up the voltage? By using some step up transformer. That step up transformer, that's why it was connected here. Then immediately before going to this doorstep, this voltage, already this voltage at very, very higher voltages, already this voltage at very, very high voltage, so almost of 765 kV, like that as per the Indian economy. So this voltage is to be stepped down. Otherwise 765 kilovolts voltage, if you are directly given to your home, what you will do? Unnecessarily, that is a waste of the energy. So that's why now before reaching to your consumers area, so that voltage has to be stepped down to the voltage requirements of that particular loads. So that's why here again we are keeping a step down transformer. That step down transformer, the importance of the step down transformer is already this transmitted voltage is at very higher voltage level. So you have to decrease the voltage level by means of a transformer. So this is nothing but the transformer, step down transformer. This is nothing but the step up transformer. So that this is the a typical power system network, and where the generation takes place, transmission takes place, and distribution takes place. Now this is the what is the major objective here. Now within very quickly we will wind it up. What is our major objective? Our major objective is nothing but, why now you may ask, so why we are taking about thermal power plants only? We have discussed so many times about thermal power plants only. What is the reason? Because in this Indian if you could observe the total power plants or power plant sector in India, almost of all more than 55 percentage, almost of all more than 55 percentage of the power we are extracting it from the thermal power stations only. So that is the major reason we are going to take this thermal power plant is the major source of the electrical energy, and we are working on thermal power station more effectively to decrease the cost of operation. So that is a major objective. Now first thing is, what is the necessity of taking a thermal power plant? What is the necessity of taking a thermal power plant? Means almost about more than 55 percentage of the electrical energy we are retrieving it from thermal power stations only. That is a major reason made me to select thermal power stations. And what is this power system operation and control? Power system operation and control means we are going to operate the thermal power station more effectively And if it is required, we are going to control the power system more effectively by keeping something in mind. What is that? What is a major thing is nothing but you have to reduce the operational cost. What is this operational cost means? Operational cost depends on so many parameters. So it depends on the staff salary, money, fuel cost, interest and depreciation charges, and maintenance cost, and transportation cost. Because now if the thermal power station, if it is not located in the vicinity of the mines, then with the help of road transport or rail transport, what happens? You have to shift the coal from the mines to the thermal power station. So this cost is also one of the major parameters. So out of all these parameters, the cost of the fuel, including the transportation, is the major parameters. So this only decides highly the operational cost of the thermal power stations. So here in this total analysis, we are going to operate the power system and control the power system such that the cost is to be minimized. That is the main motto ours. So the most efficient generator in the system does not guarantee minimum cost. Sometimes now you have to operate that machine at higher efficiencies or lower efficiencies, but ultimately whether it is going to meet our cost requirements or not, that is the major parameters. Now, so these slides highlights about thermal power station capacities, because generally we were in a illusion that thermal power station may be giving high good efficiencies. That's why people are preferring thermal power plants. But it's not like that, ma. Up to 1 megawatt, the efficiency of this thermal power station is nothing but just 4% only. Means whatever the 96% we are wasting in the form of some losses. Losses in the nothing but losses takes place in the generator power plant, generating power plants. And some of the means we are not effectively, we are going to handle the coal. Suppose if the coal is not perfectly dried in its condition, then what happens? You will get some different types of fumes, and some ash content will increases. So if ash content increases means coal was not properly burned. So in that cases, the efficiency of the power plant is nothing but the goes down. So 4% means 96% we are wasting in different forms of energy. So if it is the rating of the power plant is 1 megawatt to 10 megawatts, so the efficiency is nothing but just a 12%. And if it is come to the above 100 megawatt, then only the efficiency is nothing but the 27%. So means the efficiency is also a function of the installed capacity of the thermal power station. So not more than this 27% you can see as the efficiency for this thermal power plant. So that's why the operating the thermal power station at what cost you see. So we cannot increase this efficiency. So what you can do by operating and controlling some of the major parameters in thermal power stations, the thing is you can, if it is possible, or you have to put your effort such that the operating cost should be minimized. So that is our optimization problem. Optimization problem means optimization problem will not use unique solution. So it will adjust itself according to the different working conditions. So that's why I'm using that optimization. What type of optimization I am going to take here means static optimization I am taking. What is that static optimization? Static optimization is nothing but as a generating plant, if you are taking only thermal power station, then that is nothing but a static optimization problem. Optimization problem is nothing but with respect to the load, with respect to the load, or with respect to the weather conditions. If you are adjusting, if you are asking the generator to take up some load, then it is, suppose today morning X1 generator, suppose let me take this simple example here. Suppose there are two generators are there. So this is G1 generator and this is a G2 generator. Now, this is, suppose this is my load. Suppose load is 100 megawatt load is there. So today morning, let me assume now the sharing of the second generator is 75 and the sharing of the sharing of the first generator is 25 megawatts. So this, like this, we are distributing the load among these two generators G1 generator is taking 25, G2 generator is taking 75. So 25 and 75 totally 100 megawatt, right? Now here the thing is, in the initial case, we are ignoring the transmission line losses. Let me assume there are no losses in this system. So that is my first case. Then second case is, are you going to meet your load requirement? Yes, 100%. Because second one is producing 75 megawatt and first one is producing 25. So totally how much you are going to get? 100 megawatt is the output power. So this is the situation at morning 9 o'clock, let us assume. Is it the same combination always holds good? Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, this may not be 25, this may be 20 or 20, 30 or 40, whatever it may be. So like this, uh, suppose tomorrow morning, let us assume this is 30, means what about this value? This is nothing but the 70. So is it happens? Yes, naturally it may happen. Because of what? Because now this is whatever the distance between these two stations, the distance may be 100 kilometers or more than that, based on the availability of the coal inputs for this G1 generator and G2 generator. Suppose if the input for this input coal for this first one is at very cheaper price, then you have to operate this G1 generator more effectively to or you can request the G1 generator to take up more amount of loads. So who is deciding the major contribution here? Based on what we are going to scheduling extra amount of load, based on the operating cost or based on the fuel cost. So that's why that is a major reason here. So based on the fuel cost, or that is nothing but the operating cost. It doesn't mean that G1 is excellent or G1 is nothing but giving very good efficiency. No matter. We are not at all considering about the efficiency as the one of the major parameter in load scheduling. Now, irrespective of the efficiencies of that particular machines, only based on the operating cost or operational cost. What are the operational costs? Now, the major one of the major parameter in the operational cost is fuel cost. Based on the fuel cost only, we are requesting the generators to take up some of the load from the actual loads. But in the beginning, we are not at all considering about the transmission line losses. So like this, we have different types of power stations. And here one of the important parameter here you have to remember is non-dispatchable and dispatchable. So now here, dispatchable unit is nothing but the thermal units. Now non-dispatchable units are nothing but based on the weather if it is changing. So power and wave, tidal power and wave, and one more thing is solar power also. So this is the non-dispatchable source of energy and dispatchable source of energy. Very quickly, if it is possible to change the load units, then that is nothing but the dispatchable. Or non-dispatchable is nothing but if it is taking so much of time to respond, that is nothing but the non-dispatchable sources of energy. And about this peak loads also, even I think yesterday also we have discussed about the peaker loads, and base loads are nothing but here the important point you have to remember is base loads. Who will meet the base load? Large coal power plants or nuclear power plant, because always it has to work at the maximum. So it should not decrease to a lower value, because it is a base load means this much of load always it will be there, or this much of load always that power system has to experience irrespective of time. So that's why this is called as a base load. Base load means continuously throughout the year it will be there, the power system has to meet that much of load uninterruptedly. So who will, with the help of whom we are going to meet this base load means large coal power plants. But in Telugu states more especially, or in India, the probability of nuclear power plants are low. So that's why we are depending on the large coal power plants only to meet this base load. Whatever the mid load or intermediate load or mid load, which is nothing but the cyclic. So sometimes it may be small or sometimes it may be large. So on and off something. So where smaller coal power plants are gas power plants are also there. So this is highly used. But if the gas is not available in such cases, people will go to the smaller coal. But the coal power plants are suffering with the major drawback of the coal power plant is it responds slowly. That is the major limitation in the coal power plants. And last one is nothing but there is peaker is there. So peaker is nothing but this is nothing but it will be made by some combustion engines type or combustion turbines. So only you can see several hours, very few time. So 1 hour, now today morning 8 to 9, there may be a peak load. So that during that particular period, you have to meet the demand. So combustion turbine is one of the major parameter, or otherwise now hydropower plants are also taken into consideration during this particular case. So this is nothing but this is the peak. So how much of duration? Only this is the duration. During this particular duration only there was a peak. Now immediately once the peak gets cleared, so you have to shut down this combustion turbine or that hydropower plant. And in the remaining time, what happens, Andy? Now from here to here, if you could observe in this particular domain, the load is nothing but gradually increasing. In that case, the load is nothing but it is in the cyclic nature. So that is nothing but a smaller coal power plants can address our requirements. So like this, the based on the loads also we are going to classify stations into different categories. That is the meaning of this slide. And cost curves, I think we did so much of work on this generator cost curve. This is ci is equal to alpha I plus beta I plus into pi gamma I plus pi square. What is this? See, input and output characteristics. Let us go back to the this slide now. Here, input output production cost and fuel cost curves. So what are these curves? These are nothing but the input and output curves. Whatever the input is nothing but million British thermal unit per hour is nothing but the input power. Output power is nothing but it is megawatt power. So x-axis and y-axis we are going to take, and exactly by taking the input values and output values, if you could draw the plot, now almost all you will get a parabolic type of shape. So this is nothing but the input output characteristics of a thermal power plant. Now it is clearly mentioned whatever the units of input power and output power. So next one is almost all the curves looks like same only. So next one is a production cost curve. Production cost is nothing but the rupees per hour. So how much of money you are spending for 1 hour in order to get 1 unit of megawatt power. That is the beauty of this production cost curve. So with the help of this production cost curve, now we can conclude that whatever the money you are spending per hour to get 1 megawatt of power or per unit megawatt of power. So that is nothing but these curves describes the relation between production cost and the output power. Next one is fuel cost curve. So this fuel cost curve is nothing but this is also input output curve only, but it is multiplied by the fuel cost. So fuel cost is nothing but the rupees per hour. So if you could multiply that, you will get this particular equation now. So this is actually, this line is also a non-linear thing, but we can do so many approximations with if the approximations can be done, then automatically this non-linear curves can be represented equally. A straight line, this line is nothing but this particular line is nothing but it is a approximate line, and these are nothing but the non-linear lines. And this non means this particular line describes the relation between production cost and output power. And the what is that relation? Is it linear? No, the relation is nothing but it is non-linear. In what fashion these curves are varying? Parabolically the input and output parameters are varying. So that is the meaning of these three curves here. And next one is heat rate curve. This is a very important curve here. On the y-axis we are going to take heat rate. The units are very important, and a million British thermal units per megawatt hour. So that is the unit of heat rate, means how effectively you are burning in 1 hour to get 1 megawatt power. So that is nothing but heat rate. And the x-axis what you are going to take again, output power is the one of the parameter. How you are going to get? Now if we divide IO curve means input output curve, with the corresponding output we will get the heat rate curve, and the relation is nothing but inverse hyperbolic. So this is nothing but this is the about the heat rate curves. And this is very important for us. So that is nothing but incremental cost curves or marginal cost curves. Now how we are going to get? Now if you are taking the derivation of IO curve we have discussed in the beginning of characteristics. So if you are differentiating that parabolic shape, we are going to get one more curve, that is nothing but the incremental cost curve. So cost expression already, what is the cost expression? So we have approximated this nonlinear equation by C is equals alpha I plus beta I into PGI plus gamma I into PGI square. So this is the, so like this you can get n terms here, but we are truncating the higher order terms only up to second order, or in some of the cases we are going to take up to first order only. So what is the meaning of this one means, this is nothing but it is a non-linear uh, relation between the cost and the output power. So if now what is this incremental cost curve here, you have to differentiate this with the variable. So this is nothing but dc by dpg. If you are taking, now you will get the incremental cost curves. So this is the P output and P input. So this is nothing but the incremental cost curves. And what are the units here? Rupees per megawatt hour. So generally this cost curve is drawn between minimum and the maximum output powers. So like this, there are 5 to 6 characteristics are there, and with the help of these 5 to 6 characteristics, we are going to describe the, or we are going to develop the mathematical equivalent of thermal power plant. So this is the input output characteristics. I think we have we did so much of work on this, and how whatever the cost expression and whatever the incremental cost curve, everything we did it here. Now see here, what are the approximations we have taken? The approximations, quadratic or cubic functions and piecewise linear functions also we have taken. So these approximations helps us to draw a linear graph or linear relation between the input and outputs. So that's why we there are two approximations methods, but we are going to take Lagrangian multiplier method to approximate the values. So these things I think you already we have discussed about this. So control variables and uh, some state variables and disturbance variable. Disturbance variables are nothing but the, now whatever the actual load demand. So P and Q demand is nothing but disturbance variable. Control variables are nothing but the, these are the variables. It will be there at the generation terminals. So how much of power and how much of real and reactive power that power plant is going to generate. So those are the control variables. How much of real power and reactive power that load is expecting. So that is nothing but the disturbance variable. State variables are nothing but the voltage and the delta of a particular bus. So these are the different variables in the power system. And in addition to that variables, or you can club this, or you can categorize that variables into two things. One is the equality constraints and inequality constraints. So what is the equality constraints and what is the inequality constraints means? So equality constraint is nothing but real power generation is equal to generation minus demand. So that much of power it will be there at the ith bus. And similarly QI is nothing but that is the voltage at the ith sorry, what that is the reactive power at the ith bus, which is equal to generation minus demand. So I think right. These slides gives complete understanding about various constraints, upper and lower bounds on the active and reactive power generation. See, already I think we did the 2 to 3 problems. So for any generator, it will be clearly mentioned, or in the data itself, that information it will be available. That is that first generator, it will work between 20 megawatt to 50 megawatts, and second generator 30 megawatt to 100 megawatt means. So during the total operation you should not cross that lower limit and upper limit in terms of the reactive power, sorry, real power. So suppose for first generator 20 megawatt to 50 megawatt means it is not supposed to operate that machine less than the 20 megawatt or more than the 50 megawatts. So always you have to run that generator between 20 to 50 megawatt only. So that 20 megawatt is nothing but the PG minimum, and 50 megawatt is nothing but the PG maximum. So always it is required to operate that particular generator between these two limits. So upper limit and lower limit. Like this, you can find some reactive power limitations also. These reactive power limitations clearly you can discuss in power system analysis. So in that power system analysis, at the load bus, they will clearly mention whatever the reactive power range. So if the reactive power range lies between x to y, then in the iteration process, what happens and that value, that actual value, it will be adjusted to the lower value, or sometimes it will be adjusted to the higher values, like that, based on the reactive power pumping into the system. So, and similarly for tap changing transformers also, there are some tap shiftings also, shifting angles, phase shifting angle, and nothing but tap ratio angle. There is also some lower limit and upper limits. So like this, and anyhow, naturally what happens on the voltage profile also, there are some minimum voltage and the maximum voltage. So V minimum is less than or equal to V is less than or equal to V maximum. I will tell you one example. So you take any electrical appliance. If you could observe the nameplate details of that electrical appliance, definitely they will mention plus or minus voltage deviation. So means that suppose if that actual voltage is 230, so plus or minus 5 percentage. Suppose if it was written, means 230 plus or minus 5 percentage is nothing but it is the acceptable voltage for the safe mode of operation of that particular electrical appliance. Or beyond that range, what happens, and we are not going to accept that much of deviation. Only if it is plus or minus 5 percentage, it is okay. Beyond that, now the system is not going to accept, or even though if you are giving that deviation to that existing system, the system may malfunction. So that's why there is some voltage deviation. Similarly, phase angle deviations are also there. So what is the need? What about the need of this economic operations? The need of economic operation means, already just now we have discussed about what is the need and what about the importance of that. So actually the efficiency is poor. Efficiency is just 27% only. But again, if you want to increase the efficiency, so it is not possible, that is not there in our hands. Then what you can do? So with some with the help of some smart metering kind of thing, or some if you could do something effective operation or effective controlling schemes, if you could do all this, or if you could implement effective operations and effective control strategies in the existing power system, now instead of increasing the efficiency, you can decrease the operational cost. If you could decrease the operational cost, now it like this, we are going to save some money over that particular plant, so that we can sell that real power or sell that electrical energy to the customers at the lower prices. So that is actually, that is a major motto of utility. Any utility you take, uninterruptible power supply to the customers, and at the lower price you have to feed the electrical demand to the customers. So like this, so we can meet our motto of utility. So these we can discuss in two ways. Now in the beginning stage, we are ignoring the transmission line losses. Afterwards, we are going to consider the transmission line losses or transmission losses or some power losses we are going to consider. So see, what is the main, what about the minimization? What is the our main intention? I want to decrease the my operational cost. What is that operational cost? Operational cost is nothing but there may be n types of operational cost, but out of which fuel cost is very, very important. So I am going to take fuel cost as the major parameter. So what is my objective? Objective is nothing but I want to decrease, or I want to minimize the cost of fuel, or cost of that particular fuel in the thermal power station. So I am developing the cost function here. So cost of thermal power plant is equal to I is equal to 1 to m. How many power stations are there? There may be n number of generators are there. So ci of pga. So cost is nothing but is a function of real power. So ci of pga. So whatever this subscription I means, subscript I means I is nothing but that many number of generators are working in that particular power plant. So the sum of all the cost of this generators is nothing but that is the total cost of that particular power plant. So this we are going to minimize this cost with respect to what? At what cost you are going to minimize? So minimization means, but here you have to remember cost is nothing but it is a function of the real power. So if you want to minimize the cost means better don't supply anything to that generator. If you are not going to supply anything to the generator, what it will happen, and so we are not going to get any electrical power from the machine. But you have to supply the fuel, and at the same instant you have to assess whatever the output power. So you have to develop some relation between them. So that relation is nothing but so how much of electrical power we require. So electrical power under worst case it must be equal to the demand and losses. So because this losses is also one type of demand that generator will observe. So this losses the generator only meets this demand also it should be met by the generators only. So under worst cases, how much of electrical power that power plant has to produce? So power plant has to produce this much of electrical power. So that is, so this is the total production. It is equal to the load and the losses. So this much of power that the total generators collectively, how many number of generators are there? There are I number of generators are. All this I number of generators collectively, they have to produce this much of real power. So whatever the real power now, real power is equal to the demand plus losses. So this is you have to minimize. So what is my object? I want to minimize this cost of the total thermal power plant, cost of total thermal power plant, such that summation over I is equal to 1 to m PGI is equal to PD plus P losses. So like this, we are going to develop a statement, minimization statement or optimization statement, or so this is nothing but objective function. This is completely objective function, and this is nothing but the equality constraints. So like this, we have defined two things here, objective function and the equality constraints. And here I told you there are also, you ignore all these things, not we don't require anything here up to now. This is a Lagrangian multiplier concept here. Now as per this Lagrangian multiplier, you develop some expression such that what is your objective function plus Lagrangian multiplier and equality constraints. So this is equality constraints. So this is nothing but this is optimization statement. This is nothing but optimization statement or Lagrangian problem statement. Now how can you develop this Lagrangian problem statement or optimization statement? Means Lagrangian equation is equals objective function plus lambda times of equality constraints. So like this we are going to develop, or we are going to write down the general problem with the help of Lagrangian, or this is nothing but the Lagrangian equation. Now this objective function is nothing but, let us assume here f of x is nothing but our objective function. So you can minimize, or you have to minimize this f of x such that g of x is equal to 0. That is the same thing here. The previous slide also, whatever the equality constraints we have taken, so summation over PGI minus PD minus P loss is equal to 0. So what is this? So under worst case, this means you have to minimize this cost function. You have to minimize this cost function such that summation over PGI minus PD minus PL is equal to 0. So this is the equality constraints. This is particularly this is the equality constraint, and this is nothing but our major objective. Objective is nothing but you have to minimize the cost, and equality constraints are nothing but summation over PGI minus PD minus PL is equal to 0. So if you could substitute here, you can directly get the expression for Lagrangian equation. So now here it is clearly written Lagrangian. Now depends on what? Now one is the real power and the lambda. Just now in the previous also we have discussed about this. Now summation over I is equal to 1 to m Ci PGI. So this is my objective function. So cost I want to minimize with respect to what? Plus lambda into whatever the equality constraints. Now here in this one we are ignoring the losses. Means I am not going to consider the losses. Now I want to simplify my problem, or otherwise you can assume a system with lossless system, ideal system. So if the losses are ignored, demand minus generation is nothing but it is the equality constant. So you now equality constant into lambda plus your objective function. Now after getting this, now minimization. This is the statement, problem statement. But what is this? So this problem, it should be minimized or maximized. Now how can you do minimization or maximization? By differentiating it with respect to the real power generation. So that's why we are differentiating here with respect to the variable. That variable is nothing but the PG is a variable. So what is this equation? So differentiation of this means dc by dpgi plus lambda into this is nothing but the PD is nothing but the demand is constant. So differentiation of this with respect to PG is 0 minus differentiation of this term is nothing but minus 1. So minus 1 into lambda is equal to minus lambda is equal to 0. So like this, we are going to get the differentiation expression. After that, what happens? So PD minus summation over I is equal to 1 to m PGI is equal to 0. What is this? This is nothing but the equality constant. Now, so from this particular equation, more generally, what about the expression we can write? IC of I is equal to lambda. So that IC means incremental cost. What is this incremental cost? DC by dPgi is nothing but the incremental cost. So IC of ith plant is nothing but the lambda. So what is the name of this? This is called as a coordination equation. This is called as the coordination equation. So now this is one thing. And now again, if you want to now what about this coordination equation? So cost is equals alpha I plus beta I. Now one thing, let me write. So cost is equals alpha I plus beta I into PGI plus gamma I into PGI square. So this is the cost function. Now what about the incremental cost? Incremental cost IC is equals. Now this is 0 plus second one is beta I plus 2 gamma I into PGI. So this is the incremental cost curve expression. So incremental cost curve is equal to how much? This is nothing but the lambda as per the coordination equation. Now if you are rearranging this equation, what you are going to get? PGI into 2 gamma I is equals lambda minus beta I. So finally, whatever the real power generation, PGI is equals lambda minus beta I by 2 gamma I. So this is the one important expression. Sorry. Now see, this is one of the important expression. Now I am writing there only. So this one. So here Pi or PGI is equal lambda minus beta I or Bi divided by 2 alpha I or gamma. So this is one important expression here. What about this I? I is varying from 1 to n, and this is just if you are rearranging this total equation, you will get this particular value. So these expressions are highly useful in while solving our problems. So this is the computer method we can develop. This is nothing but it is called as the iterative method. So this iterative method is very, very important for us. So what is this iterative method? So iterative method means in this one of the parameter. What is the major parameter here? That parameter is nothing but this is the lambda. It can be determined iteratively. You have to choose that lambda value. Lambda is nothing but it is actually the name of this is nothing but it is a Lagrangian multiplier. So we know the cost functions and we know the coordination equation. Coordination equation is nothing but the IC1 is equal to IC2 is equal to IC3 is equal to ICK is equal so and so is nothing but the lambda. So this is nothing but it is called as a coordination equation. What is the procedure for determining this lambda means? The cost curves are quadratic in nature and it is approximated as linear because yes, just now also we discussed about that. Actually, the cost curve is nothing but it will be like this, but this can also be approximated like a straight line, not necessary to be passed through the origin, but it is nothing but it is a straight line. So it means the relation between the x and y parameters is nothing but the approximately linear we can consider. So first thing is you have to assume lambda to be some trial value. Suppose it may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so and so. Now, with the help of this lambda, just now we have solved one expression. Pi is equals lambda minus beta I divided by 2 gamma I. In that one, beta I and gamma I are nothing but the known values. If you know the, now I will tell you one thing. Oh, shit. Now here in this one, whatever the real power generation, real power is nothing but gamma lambda minus beta I by 2 gamma I. This is nothing but the real power generation. Here, suppose if the cost function is given to you, suppose that may be some 0.02 P1 plus P1 square, 0.04 P1 plus 10 is there. Like this, if any cost function if he has given, then whatever the alpha is equal to 10, beta is equals 0.04 and gamma is equals 0.02. Now if any cost function is given, then you can directly you can get the values of constants alpha, beta, gamma, or in some of the textbooks they may also represent it ABC also, but not C. Some other parameter they will use because C is nothing but the standardly it will be used to represent the cost. So if you know the constant, you substitute here, and if you could assume lambda, because initially you have to assume lambda, if you are substituting here, you will directly get the PGI value. So that is the same thing he is asking. So solve for PGI. So solve for PGI from cost function. Yes, from the cost function means just now in the previous slide I have explained how we are going to calculate the PGI. And after this, you have to verify this PGI calculation with respect to the demand, whether it is meeting the demand or not. Now, if it meets, if it is less than epsilon, what about this epsilon? Because now no system is ideal in the nature. In the practical system, what happens now? What the expression we are writing? Total generation should be equal to the total demand. This is nothing but the expression we used to assume. So summation over this. So it need not be. There may be a slight difference. It may be less, or this generation may be less smallly, or it may be little bit higher value as compared to the PD. So the difference is nothing but we are going to approximate it, or we are going to compare with a acceptable small number specified value. So that is the same thing I am writing here. Summation over PGI minus PD, if it is less than epsilon, the optimal solution is reached. Suppose if you are comparing or if you are subtracting this value and you got some value, if that value is very higher than this epsilon, if you are, suppose this epsilon is nothing but 0.01, suppose you assume, and if the difference is nothing but let us assume that there is a 100 gap is there between generation and the demand. So this 100 and 0.01 we had to compare. This 100 is far larger than this 0.01. In that cases, now whom you are asking to decrease, now demand they won't listen your words. So only the thing is nothing but you have to you can request your generating station to decrease its value, and such that the difference between them should be equal to 0.01. So what happens now? How this PG will decrease? By decreasing the lambda only, because now PG only. How can you calculate the PG value? With the help of lambda only. That is the same thing here. So increment IC lambda is nothing but what? Incremental cost only. So based on the differences, sometimes if it is required to increase the IC, you can increase by delta IC, or if you want to decrease this IC, you can decrease the IC by delta IC. Only the thing is the difference between these two should be less than or in the worst cases, if it is equal to epsilon, then the system is nothing but okay, and that like this, the demand is nothing but the equally shared. So this is a computer based program, or this is the logic we are going to use if you want to take the digital simulation help. Because suppose if you want to ask the computer to solve, suppose one or two systems means no problem, manually we can do it. But in the real time power system, how many number of systems? There may be n number of systems. N number of systems, manual operation or manual solution means it is very tough. In that cases, we have to develop some logic, and that logic we have to give it to the computers, and the computer should read your logic. And if the computer reads our logic, then only it can do some optimal scheduling among the generators. So whatever the language you have to develop, so that is nothing but what is the algorithm. So from the fundamentals we can develop this type of algorithm. So if with the help of this particular algorithm, if you could write some program, then your computers will easily read, and as per your requirement, the computer will schedule the loads among the available number of generators. So this is like how our computer solution or algorithm, what is the importance of this algorithms means, that is the importance. And there are some physical significance is there. In this physical significance, you remember this point, lambda is equal to delta c by delta pt. So lambda is nothing but this is the incremental cost, always depends on the change in the cost to the change in the demand. Means if the demand increases, what happens? Cost has to increase in order to maintain the lambda is the constant. This holds good even for uh, system including the losses or non including the losses. Always this lambda is equal to delta c by delta pd. So this is the physical significance. And there are some, this problem is very very important. I think we discussed elaborately at that time. Suppose again, even though if you have any doubts, you please ask me, because this problem gives complete analysis what we can get, or what we understood so far in the chapter 1 or unit 1 or module 1. With the help that we can do it practically if you could solve this problem effectively. So that is one thing. And this problem talks about what are the cost savings and all. And here this one is nothing but the same economic scheduling only, but with the losses. What are the, if the transmission line losses are also considered, how we are going to get the optimal distribution. Now here, so same Lagrangian equation only you have to write. I is equal to 1 to m. So this is nothing but the objective function, and this is the multiplier, and this is nothing but the power balance equation. PD plus PL minus summation over I is equal to 1 to PGI. Same equation. So again, after getting this, you have to take the differentiation with respect to d by dPGI. So if you are differentiating this equation, you will get summation over I is equal to 1 to m, so and so. So you rearrange this equation here, you will get some penalty factor. That penalty factor is nothing but it is represented as Li is equal to 1 by 1 minus dou PL by dou PG by dou PGI. So here one expression we are going to get. Now this slide gives see, dou PL by dou PGI is nothing but this is referred to as the incremental transmission line losses. So this PL is nothing but the line losses. So dou means dou operator always used to uh, uh, say incremental value. Suppose if there is an incremental value delta value, then that is nothing but the dou PL by dou PGI. So incremental change is this. So incremental transmission line losses are nothing but these are the incremental transmission line losses. What about the exact coordination equation? So exact coordination equation is nothing but, so IC1 is equal to lambda into 1 minus ITL of I. So this is the exact coordination equation. What about the coordination equation? So coordination equation is nothing but the IC is equals lambda is nothing but your coordination equation. But in this case, what happens? And this is multiplied with some penalty factor value. So 1 minus ITL. ITL is nothing but the incremental transmission line losses. So this is the exact coordination equation. So this is again, this is also called as the exact coordination equation only. But here, instead of penalty factor, we have represented L1, L2, L3, so and so. So L1 is equal to 1 by 1 minus dou PL by dou PGI. So what about the physical significance of this incremental transmission line losses means if this increases, if loss increases, what about the penalty factor? So that comparison is there. If this real power decreases, then what about this total value? It will be increased. So this value decreases, so penalty factor decreases. So like this, we are going to approximate the importance of this penalty factor in the economic load sharing, economic load scheduling. So this is again physical significance is there. I told you very clearly. Only the thing is whether it is including or neglecting the transmission line losses. This is the final value. Lambda is equal to delta C by delta PD. This is the only one and only one expression you have to remember. That is the physical significance. Means for incremental change in the demand, there will be incremental change in the cost. That is the meaning of this physical significance. So these are the B coefficients expression is there. So I think the expression on this is not required because only these are the derivation kind of things only. So these are the B coefficient expression, and this is the computer solution if the losses are increased. So optimal scheduling how we are going to get. So but this derivation is very important, and the derivation of transmission line losses formula. So these are the two important approximations we have to consider. Load currents have the same phase angle with respect to the common reference points. And next one X by R. Next one is X by R value. So this is the one thing, one approximation. And second approximation is X by R is same for all the network branches. So this is two things you have to remember. And only this is a substitution kind of thing only. Here current distribution factors are very important. Current distribution factors. So one or two problems also we discussed, and out of these problems, that problem is very important. I think if you want, I will show you, or if you have any doubts also, you can ask me, because that problem is very important for us. Is handwritten material is visible to you all? Is handwritten material is visible? Now? I think now it is visible. Okay, this problem is very important, Andy. I think in few textbooks only you can find this particular problem. It means it need not be the same problem, but the logic is very important. So it is a four bus system, and we know the how we are going to calculate the current distribution factors, everything. I think we have discussed this problem also. Now, anything, if you have any doubts, you please chat me, ma. I am ready to help you out because this is online mode. If it is a face-to-face mode of teaching, I can at least I can see your faces, and whether you people are following it or not, I can assess. But there is no such provision is there here. So that's why if you have any doubts, you can please chat me, or you can ask me, or you can interrupt at any time. Absolutely, there is no problem at all. Okay. uh, Suppose if you have any queries, please text me, because from Monday onwards I am going to talk about the hydrothermal stations. Yesterday also we discussed some of the major parameters uh, and comparison between the hydrothermal power stations. If any doubts in that aspect or in the purely thermal station also, you please post me in the group, or at least you can directly send me a WhatsApp also. Absolutely, there is no problem at all. You can interrupt me at any time. If you have any doubts, you please raise. Otherwise, I will wind up the session for today's. If you say, if you are following, okay, I will wind up the session. Is it okay, you all?